Tantra! Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in there to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button below right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live right now, post a new video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you find the content useful, helpful, insightful in any way, shape or form, or just want to give this channel some like love. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. So welcome once again to Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month, celebrating our diversity across the asexual spectrum and our differences within it. I founded Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month back in 2017 when I launched and published this book, which is Asexual Perspectives, 47 asexual stories, love, life and sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. There is literally 47 real life asexual stories in here. I got my bookmarks ready, so we're going to go in a moment and discuss some of the issues with intrusive questions we get asked as asexuals. Now, why did I even think about writing this book? It was because I was told on Avon that I couldn't identify as I do, and I don't think anyone has the right to tell people what they should or shouldn't be. I think anyone and everyone on the asexual spectrum is valid, and I wanted to show a book that really showed how the asexual spectrum is in real life context rather than just textbook definitions of it, so asexuals could really grasp what the full asexual spectrum means. Hello, Liam. Oh, it's lovely to see you, beautiful Sandra. Oh, it's lovely to see you, Liam. Lovely to see you. I was thinking about you today. I was thinking, I wonder if you'll be on, because I'm streaming a bit more of a reasonable hour today, which is good. So yeah, the Asexual Perspectives book asks pretty much every question that I get asked by asexuals that are new to asexuality. So that is why I actually wrote this book, you know, because some asexuals, they feel that if they masturbate, they can't be asexual, but they don't experience any sexual attraction. They don't want a relationship. So it really freaks them out. They're like, am I the only one who does this? Should I be doing it? So, you know, some asexuals do that. Some just don't. They don't need it. Don't think about it, you know, and you know, some asexuals do want children. I personally don't, but some asexuals do. Some want it naturally, some don't. So all these type of questions are in this book, and different people give their own perspective and answers. So you can really get a grasp of the asexual spectrum rather than just being told things. You can see it in real life context and situations. So let's crack on with today's live stream. Today we're discussing intrusive questions, which is obviously always a difficult one, isn't it? So we're going to take Dee's story. I'm going to read from Dee's story. So I'm reading this here. Oh, just in case you want to get a copy, the link is down below in the description. So the question is, can you tell me a time when you had to deal with intrusive questions or a difficult situation due to asexuality, and what happened? So Dee said, well, usually when people ask questions, I'm quite enthusiastic because I like educating people and I don't have much of a sense of privacy. I don't like it when people ask if I've been sexually traumatized in response to hearing I'm asexual. I've been sexually assaulted and I'm actually quite comfortable talking about it, but I worry that it will be perceived as invalidating my asexuality. So let's discuss that. I do think it's difficult as an asexual if you have had sexual abuse before, because, you know, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, you must be asexual because you have been traumatized. In other words, it's all due to some trauma, which is usually of a sexual nature, and that's why you are the way you are, which is absolute rubbish, right? There are some asexuals that have had sexual abuse and there's some that haven't. I've had sexual abuse, but I had my sexual relationships after that sexual abuse. Right? If the sexual abuse had put me off having sex, then I wouldn't have had all my sexual relationships, I've had sex with 5 different guys in my past. You know, I wouldn't have had sex with any of those guys if at 15 years old the sexual abuse, you know, it made me asexual, which it didn't, you know, because asexuality is a sexual orientation. It's not a result of trauma or some hormone problem or some way of life that you've just chosen. I mean, some people think it's just a path that you've chosen, you know. I got that the other day. about, well, I respect the path you've chosen. It's like, I didn't choose this path. I didn't even know I was asexual. Maybe spiritually, because some people feel you choose your next life, you choose the person you're going to be in the next life. If you believe in reincarnation, maybe in one of my past lives I said, hey, I'm going to be asexual in this one and change the world, which is great. But in this lifetime I didn't choose to be asexual. I really love being asexual. There was signs that I was asexual from before 15 years, when I was 6 years old. I had an interview last night, well, the early hours of this morning, actually, 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. in the morning, and it was by a relationship and sex coach, and she was asking me all about asexuality. And Megan, hello! Oh, I got a nice clap and I got a smiley. Oh, Megan says hello to Liam too. It's good. The Ace team is coming. Oh, thank you for thumbs up. Lots of love. I thought if I get on time tonight, before time, I should be able to see some more people, some more asexuals, which would be lovely. So here I am. So I'm really pleased that you've joined me tonight. Really happy. You can see my happy face. So I think it's very difficult if you have experienced asexual abuse, because they automatically think that, and it's wrong. There are signs that I was asexual at 6 years of age. But having said that, I there's signs even before that, because I didn't like being naked in front of my mum when I was still on my potty. I all of a sudden became conscious of myself, that I was on the potty in the kitchen. I'm like, my mum's looking at me nude. She shouldn't be looking at me, which is a very weird thing to think, right? Babies and kids babies don't really think that. I don't even think they're thinking these type of things. But, I was very consciously aware of myself from a very early age. I can remember very not much, but I can remember, these type of little things that cropped up, and it's not really the typical thing that human beings remember. They don't really remember a situation like that on their potty. But I remember, I didn't like being naked. So I've always had this naked repulsion, which I understood far more when I found out I was asexual. I've always been asexual, but never realized it. And that is true for many asexuals. They've always been asexual from birth, and they didn't realize it, and it's like, as you go along in your life, something's different about you, but you don't really know why it is. Some people like being different. I've always liked being different, even though it can be hard, because you can be very bullied. I think a lot of asexuals have probably been bullied at some point in their life for being different. I find a lot of asexuals just are different because we're wired different. Our brain thinks differently, which in turn, makes us feel differently about the things we want to do about our body, and that is okay. I was saying on the interview I had last night, the early hours of this morning, that it's common sense and logical that not everyone is going to like everything, and that includes sex. And I think it's a very important point. It's logical. If people use their common sense, not everyone's going to like everything, and that includes not everyone's going to like sex. Liam, people think only people that have sexually abused can be asexual, and it was the sexual abuse caused it. Yeah, I know. It's really terrible. It's really terrible because, like I said, I've been sexually abused, but that didn't cause me to be asexual, because I had my sexual relationships after that. I was in a relationship for 8.5 years nearly. So, Megan, I don't mind answering the questions that sexuals ask me about my asexuality, but I will not answer the question, do you masturbate? Yeah, it's very intrusive. I get asked that as well. I recently did say in a dating group which has got entrepreneurs in it, which they should be more open-minded. Some of them are, but some of them aren't. And they were asking me, and I just came out with the fact that I do get aroused, even though I don't have no sexual attraction. And of course, this guy has gone into a complete spin about it. He goes, oh, these two terms seem very contradictory to me. I don't understand. He's like, well, what do you want to be turned on? What do you want to be aroused for? It's not like I choose to be aroused. Arousal is an involuntary response that some asexuals get and some don't. Do you know what I mean? I didn't say, oh, I'm going to be aroused right now. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, and I said it's through, aroused by kissing, but that's not always true. Like I've discussed with you before, if I'm in a nightclub now, usually I don't get aroused by the kissing. It's more like if I've got a boyfriend and I'm lying on the bed with him, and like we're our bodies are touching through clothes, which that's more physical contact. So that's that's kind of like why I would get the arousal. I said to this guy, I've still got hormones. Do you know what I mean? Just because I'm asexual doesn't mean to say I haven't got hormones, which is what another thing they say. They feel that just because like you're because you're asexual, it might mean there's something wrong with your hormones. Like my hormones are probably firing off more than quite a lot of asexuals in terms of arousal sometimes. But I have zero sexual attraction. It doesn't make me want any arousal, doesn't make me then want to go and have sex. It just doesn't. It's just an experience in and of itself in that moment, which I try not to do that. I try and put my mind on other things because it's just too distracting, to be quite honest with you, and I'd rather not think that way. I'd rather just not think that way, not touch things, and just get on with other things, because otherwise it is really distracting. And that masturbate question is really, really ridiculous, because even if an asexual does masturbate, they're still asexual. If they don't masturbate, they're still asexual. Do you know what I mean? It's just but there is a misconception about it. That's what I was trying to bust through on this live interview this relationship and sex coach did with me in the early hours of this morning. It was all about sexual misconceptions and and asexual misconceptions. And so, it was good to say some of that stuff that, is just ridiculous. People think, that you can't have loving, healthy, happy relationships without sex. They automatically equate love, happiness, with sex in a relationship. And health as well. Like this woman in this group that I'm in, she's like, oh, I love sex, because obviously it's an entrepreneur full of sexuals, but I found 2 asexuals in it. And, it was like, oh, sex is so healthy. So I replied to that. And in my reply, I said, sex is great if you like it, want it, need it, which I accept that the majority of the population do. But I said there's some that don't. And for those that don't want, like, or need sex, it's not healthy. It's called sexual abuse or rape. After that, they didn't have too much more to say apart from I love you, which was nice. They sent me a heart with I love you, Megan, yeah, I've also never experienced sexual abuse or any other sexual stuff, probably because my family shelters me, which is good. Yeah, Megan, it is good actually, because I was pretty sheltered in my youth. I lived in the countryside. I didn't think about sex. I had boyfriends at school and stuff, but I didn't really, think about sex. It was all to do with kissing, some touching sometimes, but majority of time kissing. And yeah, but it was that's the same with you, is it? But the only thing was, it was very difficult then when I was 15, and the guy tried to have sex with me against my will. I don't know if you've read this book, but I talk about this in the front of the book. My personal story, and he did try to have sex, and I was 15 years old and he was 18, so it was and I had to physically stop him while he was holding one of my arms down, so I only had one arm to stop him. It was quite difficult, but because I'd lived such a sheltered life, the only difficulty with that is I wasn't expecting him to be like that, because sex didn't enter my head. So he even opened a drawer with a condom in it, but he never actually attempted to even use that. I saw it. I'm just like, that's nice. I'm like, what does he want me to say? I didn't know. I didn't even think about sex. I just like, okay, that's nice. It's nice for him. Like, it's a nice object to have. Not that he would relate to me at all, or not that he would be thinking about having sex with me. So that's the only problem I see with having a sheltered life. I think it's really, really good until it comes to the crux of the matter, where you end up getting a boyfriend that's very sexual and very sexually active, and you're not used to that, and you're not used to putting boundaries in place and saying what isn't acceptable and asserting yourself, because I didn't even know what boundaries and assertiveness meant, which meant, I had a lot of problems and issues. It's very difficult. My parents don't talk about sex with me. So, they have me talk more about sex to them now than they've ever talked about me. Oh, bless them. yeah, they're quite conservative like that. They just, you know, all private stuff. And my dad watches this channel. Hello, Dad. He probably knows more about me than most people know about, more about me than most fathers know about their daughters by now. Oh my God. See, I'm going bright red now. Bright red, people, like my duvet. So I don't get embarrassed by much, but it's quite weird thinking my dad watches this channel. But hey ho, I've got kind of used to it now. Maybe he needs some help and advice. Liam, sorry that happened to you, Sandra. You didn't deserve that. Yeah, it was really, really difficult. But I just put it down to a bad incident, luckily. So I didn't really, you know, I felt really guilty about it for years. So that was why it was really, really hard, because I felt guilty because I didn't say the word no, but I clearly didn't want to do it because I was trying to stop him. It was really hard, but I was that shocked. I was in shock that I didn't say no because I just had no words. I just had to physically stop, you know, like be there stopping him. Like, so that was really difficult. Thank you, Megan. Megan says sorry as well. Yeah, it is hard, you know, and but I just put it down to a bad incident. I think that helped because I didn't carry it throughout my whole life as being this horrendous ordeal that a lot of people actually would know it is. You know, like, it's very interesting because the relationships, the relationship and sex coach that interviewed me in the early hours of this morning, she actually is a trained therapist, and I told her, because she was asking me about stuff like that, you know, you always get asked about the traumatic stuff, if you had a bad sexual experience, you know, it's like, she didn't ask me that in the interview. She asked me that before we did the interview. She had a pre-interview with me, and I explained to her it's got nothing to do with me, you know, having sex. But actually in the interview I did talk about that incident, but I didn't say it in detail. Just said the guy tried to take advantage of me, but that's not the reason why I'm asexual, because I had all my sexual relationships after that, including one for 8.5 years. But you're a very strong woman. Thank you, Megan. Yeah, I guess all these incidents have made me stronger. That's the only, you know, like, really good thing about it, if you call it a good thing, is that, you know, because I put it down to a bad incident as well, you know. But this therapist, she was saying to me, that's very traumatic. It's a lot of trauma, really traumatic, that. And I'm like, yeah, I said I just put it down to a bad experience. I didn't really think about it being attempted rape until I went to see the counsellor if you didn't know my personal story of how I found out I was asexual, I found out I was asexual because this counsellor said that you need to have sex in order to keep a good guy, right? And the reason I went to this counsellor was very strange, right? And it was because I'd had counselling like a year before, at least, well, 8 months or a year before. It was a year before anyway, like quite a long time ago. And the last conversation I had with that counsellor was the thing that happened when I was 15. And she said, well, that was attempted rape. And I didn't even think about it being attempted rape. I'm just like, it's young people, like two young people, guy and girl, having, like, you know, you know, I obviously knew it wasn't good, and I knew it was like sexual abuse in a way, you know, but I kind of didn't even think about it in those terms. I just thought about it as really bad incident in my life, and because I didn't say no, I kind of felt like, you know, I didn't have a chance to say no. I realise now that it was sexual abuse and basically attempted rape, but I didn't realise that at the time, you know. So I just put it down to a bad incident. It was two young people, a guy that was older than me that should have known better, but the next girl, he got pregnant after that. So clearly, and the therapist said that's very strange, that he actually had a condom in the drawer, yet the next girl he got pregnant, so he never had any intention of actually using that condom, you know, which is, she found that weird, you know. So it was a very interesting point that she made, you know. But, you know, I just put down to bad incident. I'm really glad that I did, because I think it helped me a lot, because I think I would be very traumatized by that if I hadn't have done that, and I was able to move on. And, you know, I did have sexual relationships after that, you know, so it wasn't because I'd had that experience that, you know, I was asexual, because I didn't even find out I was asexual to 2014. I mean, this is some years later. So, you know, and I'd had my sexual relationships after that, you know. The only one that lasted a long time was the guy I was with for a total of 8.5 years, but I was with someone for like 7 years nearly before that as well. Yeah, I'm too young to tell you all this, but you know, the guy I was with for nearly 7 years, it was I was with him at college. I met him, so 17 I think I was when I met him, in birth certificate age. Yeah, so but I think we only had sex a handful of times, and in the end he had a affair in the very end. Probably wanted sex, and I wasn't interested in it. I didn't even think about it with him, so it's kind of obvious I was asexual. When I look back on it, it's just so obvious I was asexual and didn't realize it. Megan, it's kind of like if a hetero girl was assaulted by another woman, it doesn't make her lesbian or bi. Yeah, yeah, it doesn't make her lesbian or bi. I completely understand. I understand your point of view of where you're coming from as well. Don't know if I word it right. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what you meant at first, and I'm like, oh yeah. What you're trying to say was it doesn't matter if someone has, yeah. So sometimes with asexuals, I know what you're trying to say. Yeah. So basically, if a woman who is attracted to another woman, a lesbian, is then sexually assaulted by, for example, a guy, a hetero guy, that doesn't make the lesbian hetero just because someone sexually assaulted her. If she's attracted to women, she's attracted to women regardless of who assaulted her. So what Megan is trying to say is just because I was sexually assaulted doesn't mean to say that that changes my sexual orientation, my sexual identity. Just like a lesbian's sexual orientation, sexual identity is not changed if a guy decides to sexually assault her, So it's very important to know your identity is who you are. No one can change your identity unless you want to change it, and that's it really, but I just put it down to bad incident. I still prefer to think of it that way, to be honest, even though I know it's more more than that. I prefer most of the time to think about it like that, just because it's just easier and better for me. It's not so traumatic when I say it like that, and that's how I thought about it through most of my life. So I just prefer to say that, but I don't want to minimize the experience, because I know if others were in that situation, it would be very traumatic for them, so I don't want to minimize any type of thing like that, because I know, that shouldn't happen, and it is a big deal. But, for me personally, it's just better for me to think about it as a bad incident overall, even though I say, it obviously wasn't. It's something I won't ever completely forget in my life, but it's something that that I don't hold on to per se. I just think it happened, and that's it. And I'm lucky. I was just so grateful and thankful and lucky that I got out of it, because the next woman he got pregnant, I'm thinking, I was like, thank God that wasn't me, because I've never wanted kids in my life, and I'm just like, oh, I was so relieved. I was more grateful and thankful for getting out of that relationship than worrying about what it was like in it. Do you know what I mean? So, because he was my boyfriend at the time, but I only liked the kissing. I didn't expect him to do that. So yeah, it was kind of crazy. But yeah, I'm much like Megan said, I'm a very strong person, so it's good. There's a lot of things that have made me strong in my life, a lot of different incidents, and I think it's good if you can use your experiences to make you stronger rather than break you. I think it's more power to you if you can do that. I think sometimes when it first happens, it's difficult, but after a while, you can kind of use it more as a power within you type of thing. If you can do that, it's a really good thing. Liam, you've been through so much. I'm proud the strength you show. Oh, thank you so much, Liam and Megan. I feel really supported by you. It's lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for saying you're proud. I really love it. Megan said I'm a strong woman, and Liam's saying proud of my strengths. I just want to say thank you from my heart, because without you I wouldn't even be on this show right now. And it is, like in the group I'm in at the moment, this new dating group for entrepreneurs, I get really, like, there's some women that are so supportive, saying you're my hero, go girl, because I'm basically not shifting who I am for the guys in there. But then you get a lot of, like, you get one person's like, oh, you're delusional. I'm thinking, no, actually I'm not the delusional one. I'm the one that knows the reality. There are asexuals out there. I speak to them. on my channel regularly. I hold asexual meetups for over 5 years. Do you know what I mean? Megan, Liam, I agree. Oh, thank you. Some experiences definitely shape you into a more careful person. Yeah, it's very, very important to be using your experiences to the advantage of yourself as much as possible. It's not always easy though, but it is good to try and do that. And thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. I also want to, show people as well that they can get over things, that they don't have to like have that as an obstacle to relationships. And obviously that, that asexuals very much can have a sexual bad experience and still do sex if they want to, if they want to. That's the whole thing, that we don't have to have sex, and like I said in the interview I had with this sex coach that talking about asexuality, it's like, you don't, the stigma is, you have to have sex in order to have a loving, happy, healthy relationship. You don't have to have sex in order to have any of those type of relationships, any of those type. And the fact that, people associate sex with happiness and sex with love and sex with, like health, it's like there's other things you can associate that. You don't have to have sex to get any of those things. You can do other things to get healthy, to have love, to be happy. Do you know what I mean? And in a relationship, so it's best, to just be strong as much as possible in your asexuality, because you're going to get people that don't understand it, and people that are uncomfortable, that can't fathom what you're talking about. They will just automatically try and defend their position as why sex is something you need to have and everyone should be having it. But that simply isn't true, as we know. Let's see what else there is in me book. I'm starting to sound like a northerner. I'm originally from up north in the UK, by the way. Right, intrusive questions. Oh, right, this is Fiora's story in here. So yeah, this is very interesting. So can you tell me a time when you've had to deal with intrusive questions or a difficult situation due to asexuality and what happened? Fiora said this isn't entirely related to the question, but I was browsing the Avon website one day and my twin sister happened to see it on my phone screen. She was shocked and asked me, "You're not looking at that website for yourself, are you?" It is for a friend. Since then, she has subtly brought up asexuality into our conversations. I've had to find ways to skirt around it. I come out to her, but I can't tell if she would take it well or not. Well, to be honest, if someone's hinting about asexuality and they're trying to ask you about it, I'd say they're really genuinely interested to know whether you are or not, and I personally am always advocating that you should come out as asexual, even if it's difficult, because long term it's better for you. You don't want to be hiding who you are all your life, but don't expect everyone to be okay about it. You can't account for other people's actions, other people's reactions, other people's responses. You're not in control of that. You're not in control of them. You're only in control of how you react to them. So you've got to know that if you do come out as asexual, you've got to be very strong about it and adamant that it is who you are, and no one's going to change that, because they can't. It's not like a change in your mind, because it's not something that's in your mind. It's a sexual orientation, which is what we need to get across. It's not negotiable. It just simply isn't negotiable, and some people will try and negotiate, like it's like, you can't negotiate a sexual orientation. It's ridiculous. So yeah, you have to be strong. But I would say if someone was asking you about your about asexuality, the question I would say in that is, okay, so what if I said to you I am asexual, then how would you think and feel about that? So instead of actually saying, oh, I am, if you don't want to say that, just say, how would you feel if I was asexual? Or did you know there's a sexual orientation called asexuality? And explain what it is and go, how would you feel if you knew someone like that? They might automatically know that you're talking about yourself. Thanks for the thumbs up. But I think it's a very good to, if you want to, instead of saying I'm actually asexual myself, you can always skirt around it and say, so what if someone was asexual? How would you feel about that? What would you think about it? What springs to mind for you? And I think that's how you can ask a question to someone without actually giving completely everything about yourself away if you don't want to. It's same as if you don't want to say you're asexual to someone, you can say I don't like sex, it's not my thing. I've said that in the past before I realised I was asexual and there was a name. Hello, Eddie. I finally get to watch live. Oh yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? I know that the last couple of streams were kind of like in the weird middle of the night, but I like last night, well, this morning I was yeah, it was still the same day. I've done two streams in one day. I didn't realise that. RVS, hello, can you write please, because I don't hear. I can't write because this is a live stream chat show. What I suggest you do if you want to get something because you can't hear is get this book, right? Because this book doesn't require me to write anything because I've already written it. Get this book. So let me just say R.RVS get Asexual Perspectives book, because obviously I can't stop the stream. Get Asexual Perspectives book. There we go. In the need some captions up in this stream. It's okay, it's fine. They can read my book that says everything about asexuality. So Liam, me and all your followers will always support you. Thank you. Yeah, so basically this, right, we're gonna go on to the next story. I can't write when I'm in the middle of a stream. Like I said, you need to get the book. So because this is a chat show. Right, so this is Callie's story. Can you tell me about a time when you've had to deal with intrusive questions or a difficult situation due to asexuality and what happened? So Callie, this is a very interesting story actually. I've only had to deal with one such situation once. I was at an LGBT conference in Toronto, and the last night there was a nice dinner. Everyone was sharing coming out stories and the like, and then they asked me and I told them I was ace. I had to explain asexuality, which was fine, but then one of the guys started getting really intrusive. He was asking me all these questions about whether I've had sex, how I could know I was ace without having sex, did I masturbate, etc., which I know Megan was actually saying earlier on in the chat that, you know, they're not prepared to answer the question, do you masturbate or not? Do you know what I mean? That's very, very personal. Asexuals don't have to answer any question. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, and they said it was extremely awkward, but everyone else at the table was backing me up and eventually just gave up. So yeah, you can imagine if you're around a table eating dinner and someone's asking you all these questions going on and on at you, how difficult that must be. But you know, and I think if you can be strong in that situation, it's really good, but you have to know that you don't owe someone an explanation. You know, I like to explain somewhat because I like to educate people about asexuality, but there comes to a point when you have to stop if the person's not listening, not trying to take on board what you're saying. You know, if the person is just like, you know, basically ignoring you, it's just, you know, you've got to kind of like just let them go. So yeah, Eddie, I totally agree with you. So yeah, anyway, so yeah, it's not all right to go around asking people if they masturbate or they don't. You know, it's got nothing to do with whether you're asexual, so it's irrelevant. You know, some asexuals masturbate, some don't. Big deal. You know, it's like, come on. That doesn't stop someone being asexual. Asexuality is a lack of sexual attraction. So it means we don't get the need, urge, or want for partnered sexual intercourse. So basically, we don't look at someone and go, woo, I want sex with you now, yay. We don't think that way. It's more like, you want sex, go and find someone who wants it too. Obviously there are some asexuals that do sex, they don't mind having it, and again, that doesn't stop them being asexual if they're still not experiencing sexual attraction. But if it's someone who's experiencing the sexual attraction and they just I really want a sex because they're experiencing sexual attraction, they're not asexual. You know what I mean? They're just a sexual person. That's okay. Every sexual orientation is valid, right? I do this channel predominantly for asexuals, but we have some people who are not asexual in the chat, such as Eddie. So it's fine for any person to be whatever sexuality they are, but they shouldn't be trying to invalidate someone's sexual orientation because they think they know better, or they think that just because someone masturbates they can't be asexual. I admit that obviously more sexuals would usually masturbate than asexuals, but they're quite a high percentage because asexuals can still have arousal or a libido, and they because they don't want sex with anyone, because there's no one they find sexually attractive, they want to kind of relieve that themselves because they're not attracted to anyone in that way. Do you understand what I mean? That's why they would do it, because it's like, well, I'm experiencing arousal, it's not for anyone, it's not going anywhere, I kind of want to do something with it. I either focus on something else, distract my mind, do some other project or something else, or I relieve it. Like some want to relieve it, some can do something else and not think about it. And other asexuals, they don't experience any arousal whatsoever, so they don't think about masturbation. It doesn't even enter their head usually. In some asexuals, they do actually watch porn because they feel that they can't get aroused any other way, but apart from seeing that type of imagery, and they feel that they can't relieve their arousal because they can't, do that for themselves. So they feel like they need something to aid them. I personally don't watch porn. I don't like porn. It's nothing interesting to me. The whole thing makes me feel disgusted because I'm naked repulsed, so I don't like to see naked bodies. They do not turn me on in the slightest in a sexual way, like I want to have sex way. I don't want anyone else involved in like masturbation. If I do that, which I try not to do much of that these days because I don't see the point. For me, that personally, that is, and it's up to the individual if they want to do that or not. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong in it. If asexuals want to do that, it's perfectly fine. There's kind of stigma still around masturbation, and there shouldn't be, because to be honest, it's better to do that for yourself than have someone do stuff with you that you don't even want doing that to you. Do you know what I mean? A lot of asexuals prefer to take care of their own sexual needs because they're not attaching them to anyone, which is where sexuals are different. Allosexuals, those that are not asexual, they attach sex as something, or sexual activity usually is something they want someone else to be involved in as much as possible. Whereas asexuals, because some of us do get aroused, we don't have anyone that we want to do stuff with. Like some imagery can make me aroused, so I don't want to be aroused by it. But if I do have any of the imagery, it makes me want to do stuff with myself, not with other people. And I don't want to see that imagery. It's only if it flashes up in my feed, like on Twitter, for example, by accident. There's certain imagery, and I don't like it. It disgusts me. So the fact I get aroused and voluntary over that is not particularly nice or pleasant for me. It's like I don't want to see it. I don't want to know about it. It's not interesting for me. I don't get turned on in and of myself, as in I look to seek that and I really get a thrill out of it, because I don't get, I'm not interested in doing anything with anyone else. So it just makes me like have arousal with myself, and then I feel I need to relieve it sometimes. And luckily I haven't seen any of that for a while, thank God, because I'm not interested in that. It doesn't make me happy, and I'd rather look at cute guys who've got clothes on, who've got beautiful hair, who I can just like, I wish I could kiss you, and listen to nice music with foreign guys, And I think about kissing, just kissing and stroking their beautiful hair and kissing their sweet lips and stuff like that, and just going out on dates and chatting to the early hours of the morning, those type of things, you know, all the teenager style relationship. That's what I want to have. I really want to have a teenager style relationship. We don't have any of that sexual stuff going on, you know. You just got like the arousal is okay kissing, and that's exciting to see your person, and that's it, you know. You're just like, oh, I want to see you, I want to spend time with you, I want to watch this movie, I want to go out together, have some fun, I want to smile at each other, I want to talk about like the stars and the moon, and just like really really have fun doing that. I just think that's so much more pure and stuff. I even told this sex coach who interviewed me in the early hours this morning about asexuality that, you know, asexuality is the purest form of love. I said, I know probably some people won't agree with me who listen to that, because obviously quite a lot of sexual people listen to that, because she's got a group that she's in full of sex coaches. So there'll be quite a few people that probably won't agree, but I said it anyway, because I truly believe it is the deepest, purest form of love. I really believe that, you know. And I've had one sex coach connect with me, who I think's friends with her, and she's knows of two asexual guys. So yeah, she thinks there's two asexual guys, so she wanted some help with that. So I have got a new coaching page as well on my asexualise.com site, so if you do want personal one-to-one coaching for me, you can go over there and check out what I can do for you and click in the message and arrange that if you want. That's a paid service rather than free stuff that I'm doing on this channel all the time. But some people need more one-to-one help with their relationship, you know, like an hour's Skype session with me or something. So, or ongoing help and support. So you know, if you do go on there, make sure you say you watch my YouTube channel as well, because I usually charge a little bit less for people who are part of my community here on the YouTube show. So yeah, so back to the book. Right, so Marnie's story. Now Marnie's is a very interesting story, right? So can you tell me about a time when you've had to deal with intrusive questions or difficult situation due to asexuality, and what happened? Before I knew about asexuality, just talking about sex with my husband was so difficult. So Marnie is married. One, I didn't like talking about it because it made me feel uncomfortable. Two, we constantly had the same argument over and over again about sex. Three, I couldn't explain what I didn't understand about myself. Four, my husband felt I was looking outside our marriage for sexual companionship, so I didn't want to have sex with him. And he was extremely jealous of every other man in my life because of it. Five, it created a bad situation for us because we pushed family and friends away so they wouldn't feel the tension in our relationship. I'll be discussing that in a minute. But the positives about being asexual are now, for Marnie, now there are no worries of my husband being jealous of other men. He knows that no matter how hard they try, I will never be sexually attracted to them. So, spilling water. So yeah, I think there's some really good stuff in there, you know. So basically, if you're having a relationship with someone who's not asexual, a lot of the time, if you don't have sex with them, they can feel rejected, they can feel hurt, they can feel in pain, because they take sex as meaning that you love them. They associate sex with love, which we don't, right? So basically, if you don't have sex with them, in their mind, you're rejecting them and rejecting the relationship, rejecting the love, and you don't find them physically sexually attractive, which you don't find them sexually attractive, but you can still find them physically attractive in other ways, right? You can still find them attractive in other, you know, ways like intelligence and in a romantic way and stuff like that. So, you know, they often can feel rejected, like, you know, they can feel rejected, unloved. You know, I usually don't talk about the allosexuals, you know, the sexual point of view, but, you know, I think it's important to bring it up, seeing as quite a few asexuals will end up in relationships with people who aren't asexual, you know. So and it's very interesting, my Asexual Guide to Sex book that's coming out, there'll be a lot more insight into this, and that's why I can't wait to get that book out. I've got so many people interested in it. Like, it's the hottest book for 2020, I tell you. I'm still writing it. I finished one story last week, even though I was poorly, so that's good. I've still got a few more to work on. So yeah, you know, that's how it can be. You know, the sexual can feel rejected, they can feel like they feel they're unattractive, you know. And so that can be difficult for them, just like it's difficult for an asexual to not understand why this person can't love us without sex, because to us, sex isn't love. It's like, do I really have to do that to prove I love you? Because I shouldn't have to do that because I love you. Love isn't about sex. But for sexuals, many of them associate love and sex together. And I was quite surprised yesterday when this guy turned around in this entrepreneur dating group that I'm in and said sex and romance go together. You can't have a romantic relationship without sex. Sex is romantic. Really? Truly? No. I didn't say that. What I did say was yeah, people can have romantic relationships without sex. Because people, even sexuals, can take a moonlit walk and a stroll and hold hands, but it doesn't have to lead to having sex all the time. Not every time they do something romantic together does it end in sex. Maybe in his life it does. And he said, you can't have love without sex because you can't have, so sex and romance, his opinion was sex and romance go together, therefore you can't have a romantic relationship without sex. If you're not having a romantic relationship because you're not having sex, because for him they both go together, then you can't be in a relationship, because the only love you can have is love like you would have for a mother, a father, a sister or brother. And so I did explain the fact, someone's taking a stroll and they're holding hands, they don't they're not necessarily gonna have sex. Do you know what I mean? There's people who do romantic things without it having having to have sex. They're still doing romantic things. And I was saying that I don't want to tonkiss my parents, or my mother and my father. So yeah, definitely you can have a romantic relationship without sex. I mean, honestly, when he was giving that analogy, it's like, no, I don't want, I don't tonkiss my parents. I don't want to snog my parents. I only want to do that in a relationship with a guy. I only want to be romantic with a relationship with a guy. I want to cuddle my parents. Sometimes I give them a hug, but you know what I mean? Not like I can at the moment because I can't see my mum. I haven't seen her since March the 19th now. Apart from I saw her on Skype this week with my angel, my little baby guinea pig. She's always been my baby, even though she's 4 now, and I couldn't see her for her birthday because she lives with my parents because she's diabetic. So Eddie, I was never able to separate the love sex thing till I got into this wonderful relationship. Oh, Eddie, yeah. I did mention you in the interview last night. I didn't mention your name, but I did say that I knew a guy who isn't asexual. I've been in a long distance relationship with an asexual for 2 years. And she's like, 2 years? I said, yeah, they don't have sex and they haven't met in person yet. So that's why your ears rang. Yeah, so I explained 3 scenarios. The one where my friend who's asexual married their asexual fiance, I said that it's a guy married his partner, which was a woman, so they're husband and wife now. I explained that I have a friend who's older, who's got a young fiance. They're both asexual. They only do kiss and cuddling, no sex. And I explained thirdly that I know someone who's not asexual and who's been with their asexual partner. I said they're a guy and their asexual partner's female, and they've been together for 2 years now, and they've had a long distance relationship. They haven't even met in person yet, so that's without any physical contact. And I said, so some sexuals, I said it's very, very rare, but some sexuals can be in a relationship with an asexual without sex ever. It can happen, so you can have love, and you can have a loving, happy, healthy relationship without sex ever, and it's important, to say these things, and the fact that the guy associates sex with romance, I'm thinking that's clearly, I know why I'm single, but I thought that's clearly why you're single, mate, because this particular group is meant to be single and mingle. I'm thinking if you associate sex and romance together, the woman's going to have a hard time, because a woman does like romance usually, unless they're aromantic, they like romance, not just sex all the time. They want the candlelit dinners. They want the moonlit strolls. They want roses and chocolates bought them, usually stereotypically, maybe cute cuddly toys. They want romance, not just every single time a guy's romantic should it be sex. It's ridiculous. I'm thinking clearly if you are thinking that way, you need lessons in romance, because you really don't understand romance. You know, like sex is not romantic, it's just like physical. Megan, I want a Taco Bell. Oh, bless you. Yeah, exactly. Like, I like Nando's, like, and going to the cinema, like Nando's is a chicken restaurant. It's like that's what I want. You know, that's romantic. Like a guy holding an umbrella over my head when it's raining and I haven't got a raincoat that's waterproof on me. That's romantic, you know? Going for a boat ride together, even though I hate it because I can't swim in some ways, is still romantic, you know? Like, there's so much romance in the world, and none of it is ever associated with sexual intercourse for me, right? Even when I had sex in the past, I wouldn't say the sex is romantic. I'd say you could create a romantic atmosphere. So you could have, like, you know, a romantic music on, you know, like love songs you can play while you're having sex if you want to have sex. Obviously, a lot of asexuals don't, but if you do, you know, you can play some romantic music. You could have some scented candles. You take a bubble bath together if you like being completely naked together, or shower together and shower each other down, you know. You can, I don't know, like do some sensual touching. Maybe that would be considered romantic as well. But there's lots of stuff you can do without ever even touching each other, you know. Sending little love notes to each other, like if one person's going out to work and, you know, the other person's going to work later, the person that's going to work first can leave the partner a little love note saying, I love you, I appreciate everything you do, I'm gonna miss you today while I'm working, see you tonight, honey, something like that. That's romantic, you know. They can send little texts throughout the day, little stickers with little hearts on there, you know. They can write a little love poem to you. They can sing a little song in their Facebook Messenger to you. They can just, you know, they could stroke your hair if you do want a bit of touching, you know. They could just stroke your lips, you know. There's so much you can do. Eddie, I sent out little love notes in Tumblr posts to my girlfriend right on my wall. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, that's really nice. Yeah, I know. Drinking water too quickly. I know that the guy who's older that's got the younger fiance, they're always really romantic. I mean, they're constantly texting each other, and on their Facebooks, they're like making sure they tag each other in their posts and stuff like that. So it's really, really lovely, you know, really, really lovely. And you know, I don't associate the act of sex, you know, the actual intercourse with any romance. It's not romantic at all. It's like the actual atmosphere you could make romantic, stuff leading up to it you could make romantic, but the act of sex itself, it's not romantic at all. It's just a physical thing that can give some people stimulation and sensations. It's like, it's not romance. I don't know. I don't understand why you said it's romantic. I just don't get it whatsoever. I really don't. It's like, there's nothing romantic about it, mate. The act itself, it's only the environment stuff leading up to it and other things you can do around it, you know? Maybe you meant with essential touching and stuff, but the actual intercourse bit, it's like, you know. And as someone said in my asexual book, I can't remember which story it was now, but they were talking about I think they're talking about oral sex, and they like, there's nothing dignified about, you know, a woman doing that. Actually, it might be in my Asexual Guide to Sex book. I just thought, well, maybe I've given a bit away. Because I think I remember who it was now. Edwin Lugo on Tumblr, if anyone wants to follow me, sappy stuff, laugh out loud. Oh, I'm not on Tumblr, I don't take part in that, but thanks for letting us know. But yeah, I think that's actually my Asexual Guide to Sex book. One person said, I think it is. I can't remember. Now you're going to be looking for the quote. But there was like, you know, there's nothing ladylike or etiquette or, you know, about oral sex, a woman doing that to a guy. It just, or was it in my book, or did I hear it from someone saying it in a private message to me? Anyway, someone said it to me. I'm going to have to like go and look at the book. But anyway, someone said to me that there's nothing elegant about it, you know, which there isn't. there isn't. Because my books I read so much, even the Asexual Guide to Sex book, I'm always like it's ongoing still at the moment. It's been ongoing for like a year now, over a year now, and it's kind of like it's always in my mind. So it's kind of like sometimes I don't know whether it's a reality in my book because it's real life asexual stories, or whether someone's told me that in a message or something. It's like all my written life, my books blend into my other life. Everything just blends together, really. But yeah, I understood what they mean. There's nothing elegant or dignified about it, but I never really thought about it that way. Like I said, it might be someone who private messaged me actually, because I remember someone talking to me about it, and I never actually thought about it that way because I used to do that, and I just got on with it. I kind of just thought, oh well, I just do this because I didn't know any different really back then. You know, it's kind of like it was okay till it got yuck. Because I don't want that stuff in my mouth. So, you know, if you don't have stuff come out in your mouth, it's not as bad. But if you've got to have that stuff coming anywhere near your mouth, which unless you're very quick to move out the way it can, it's pretty gross, you know? It's like, yeah, I don't want to be doing that again. It's like, I don't have to do that. Now I know I'm asexual and don't have to put up with sex. I don't have to do sexual stuff either. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, that's a bit of that. That's about enough of that. I'd rather, you know, not do stuff like that. But yeah, so I think it's very important that if you're asexual to know that you will likely get intrusive questions if you come out about being asexual. You've just got to kind of like know it goes with the territory. It shouldn't do, but it does. You know, people are curious, people are uncomfortable, people should mind their own business, but they don't. And you know, it is good to educate people. I have to admit, you know, people can be curious from a bad point of view because they just really want to get turned on by it, to be honest. You know, I have guys that want me to talk about my asexuality because they want to know what things I actually do like kissing, and it turns them on talking about stuff like that, you know. So sometimes their motive for asking you about your asexual identity is actually in their sexual needs. It might seem quite perverse or weird that. So basically they want to know about your asexuality and what you get up to in order to sexually turn them on. So that's probably why you were getting asked that masturbation question as well, because if it's a guy talking to a girl and they think you're hetero, they will usually start discussing about asexuality. Oh, tell me more then. Like, do you masturbate? Like, how do you like to do that? Do you kiss? How do you like to do that? And it's just to sexually turn them on. And you're like, yeah, exactly. It's a turn off. Do you know what I mean? It's like, really? I'm discussing asexuality here because I'm trying to educate you and you're trying to get turned on by it, which is disgusting. Do you know what I mean? But I have to let you know that some guys are like that. That's what actually is happening, you know? So they don't just want to know about it if you educating them because they want to be a better person and because they want to actually, like, free their mind of, you know, too much stigma and stereotypes they want to learn. You get a good percentage of them get turned on by it. You know, I don't mind educating some people about it, you know, because it's kind of like, a curiosity can be a good thing as well, because it can be like, oh, so in comparison to a sexual person who usually masturbates, who watches porn, who gets involved in this, that, and the other, how does that compare with someone who's asexual, who presumably they presume that you don't do those things, you see? So some of it can be out of curiosity from a good place because they want to learn about asexuality, and some of it can be from a sexual pleasure point of view for them. And other times it can mean to just like because they want to be try and argue with you or try and battle you for your own identity, which is ridiculous because it's like you are who you are. You know, no one has the right to take that away from you or invalidate you or anything else, you know. And it's a shame we have to deal with intrusive questions as asexuals, but you know, a lot of the time it's the way things are, you know, there's no two ways about it. You're going to usually get asked questions about it. If someone doesn't ask you questions, it can actually be the opposite, you know. There's some people that their family, they tell them they're asexual and they don't want to discuss it. It's like they pretend that the asexual hasn't told them. Now the asexual person might have spent like 2, 3, 4 months or years of their life trying to work up how to tell that person they're asexual. It might have been, you know, 5 years or something. And then they finally come out as asexual. And the person who they've told just completely ignores it and carries on as though nothing ever happened. So that can be equally disheartening for the asexual. It can be equally hurtful. So one extreme, you've got all the intrusive questions that you don't really want to answer, and the other extreme, I'm gonna have to go in a minute because I've got to make sure my voice is going to be okay. And the other extreme is, people get you've worked up to telling someone for a long time, and then they basically ignore you, and they ignore your asexuality, and you feel invalidated that way. So just know that you can never ever be invalidated, because you are who you are. That person wasn't very well educated. No, I know, Liam. They're not very well educated, these people, are they? There's a lot of people who are looking for dating and relationships, and they don't have an actual clue about sexuality. They don't have a clue about different sexual identities, and that's where they don't even realize that some of their problems could be. If they go around thinking that everyone is the same as them, that associate sex with romance all the time, or associate sex with love, or a lot of people that aren't asexual, a lot of women, for example, they still like a lot of romance. There's books all over Amazon on romance, and how to be more romantic, because it's something that's usually needed in a relationship, because after a while the sex gets boring for a lot of sexuals, unless they're keeping the relationship alive in between times, and part of that is romance. It's leaving little love notes. It's doing, maybe you do the cooking for them, and when they get home, you've laid all the table out for them, and you've put some candles on there, and you say, "Sit down, darling. I've made you your food tonight." Without even being asked, or even you've ordered a takeaway, and you've got a movie to watch together or something, or you've sent some beautiful red roses to their work, on their birthday, or just because you want to say I love you, so if that person just associates sex with romance, I can't think they're going to have a good relationship with anyone, unless they find someone who doesn't like romance, like an aromantic, aromantic, someone who doesn't experience romantic attraction, sexual person, because this person likes sex, obviously. If they have an aromantic sexual, they'll be fine, because the aromantic doesn't need romance and they do need the sex, so it's perfect. That's the type of person they should be looking for, really. But I haven't said that to them. I left it as I said it last time, because I haven't been on there today. I don't want to get into a conversation all day and waste all my life away. I've been doing some video editing today. I've been trying to get my back in shape, because being poorly, like last week, I spent quite a lot of time lying down, so my back's not as good as it could be. It keeps getting better and then keeping off and on. So yeah, I've been watching some movies, doing some dancing, chilling out a bit. So so I don't do too much work that I'm, I balance out, in other words. But yeah, not very well educated at all. That's where we need more people who are spreading awareness of asexuality and do understand dating relationships. So I've been given a lot of advice to sexuals lately in those groups. There was one guy as well in a Facebook dating group, and I worked out that the reason he's got a problem with dating relationships is because he's still hung up on his ex-wife. And I was talking to him in chat. This is in a Facebook dating group. Normal, heteronormative. What's normal? Heteronormative dating group, I should say. And this guy just he said something about his ex, and I'm like, well, it sounds to me like you're hung up on your ex, and until you actually get that person out of your life and stops talking to them and stop messaging them and stop phoning them and only literally see them for the sake of the kids, and that's it, then they'll always be in your life. Then a woman can't be in a relationship with you. It's like, well, yeah, you're right, every woman I've had split up with me because of her, because he really wants to be with her and his kids, but she just keeps him hanging on. She won't talk to him for 2 weeks and then send him tiny little text messages when she feels like it. So I told him, until you're ready to get over that woman yourself, you're not going to be able to have another relationship, because I've been on this channel now helping asexuals dating relationships so much. I obviously can do it with sexuals a lot better. Hope you feel better soon. Thank you, Liam. I'm better than I was. So that's good, but I think I've got to watch my voice, because I think about talking a lot is not so good for my voice, because it can actually make the skin thin at the back of the throat if you're not careful. But thank you, Liam. Yeah, because yesterday I had some pain in it was in my lower back, and then it's moved around to the side. I was doing a lot of exercise today, so at the moment I'm really focused on my health, a lot. and not overdoing things at the moment. I'm focused on health and relaxation so that I make sure that because I don't want to start going off my stream again, because obviously you can hear my voice is starting to go. So I am going to love you and leave you for tonight anyway, give my voice a rest, and I shall be back. I should be back tomorrow. What day's tomorrow? Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. And on Sunday I've got to stream very early because I am phoning a friend, an asexual friend, and on Monday I'm Skyping another asexual, both of my best friends actually. So catching up with them. So yeah, so Sunday and Monday will be early. But yes, I will love you and leave you for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the thumbs up. If anyone else hasn't given a thumbs up, please do so, because I really, really appreciate it. And I want to say thank you so much to Megan for being in the chat today. Thank you so much also to Liam. Thank you to RVS. Thank you so much, Eddie, as well. I really appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much for your continued support. I couldn't run this channel without you, because I'm here for you, and I really feel supported from you by the bottom of my heart. I give you lots of love, and I really adore talking to you. It's been amazing, and I want to thank you. And for anyone who's new to this channel who hasn't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button below and hit that great big bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. Thank you, Liam. Bye bye, Sandra. Love you so much. Oh, thank you, Liam. Lots of love to you. And Megan, good night, rest well. Oh, thank you. Lots of love to you. Bye, Eddie. Lots of love. Take care, everyone. Embrace your quirking on each other. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the hearts. Bye.